The day they told me I had cancer, the sky was bright as hell. One of those crisp Georgia mornings where the sun punches through the trees like God's flashlight. I sat in the oncologist's office, gripping the arms of the chair like they were keeping me from falling through the floor, listening to a man in a lab coat say the words. Stage 3 pancreatic cancer. Not the kind you catch early. Not the kind you beat with a green juice and a walk around the block. The kind where survival gets measured in months, not years. Stage 3. The doctor had that practiced voice. Gentle. Measured. But not soft. He used words like aggressive treatment, chemotherapy, and months, not years. I nodded. Asked 2 questions. Then drove home with the radio off and the window cracked, just enough to let the cold bite me. I didn't cry. Didn't even blink, really. I just kept hearing the word terminal over and over in my head, like a slow drumbeat I couldn't shut off. When I got home, I found Diane in the kitchen. She was peeling carrots. For stew, she said. Hey, you're home early, she smiled. Good news or bad? Bad, I said. I told her everything. She didn't flinch. Didn't gasp. Just wiped her hands on a dish towel, came over, and hugged me loose, arms barely pressing. We're going to beat this, she said. And tonight, we're going to eat like it's Sunday. She took me to a steakhouse we usually only splurged on for birthdays or anniversaries. Sat across from me in her best dress, full makeup, gold hoops in her ears. She looked beautiful, I'll give her that. But the way she smiled? It felt like a woman posing for a photo, not a wife grieving a future. We didn't talk about the diagnosis over dinner. She kept the conversation light. Should we finally take that beach trip we always talk about? You always said you wanted to fish in Alaska, maybe now's the time, huh? She even ordered dessert. I watched her spoon chocolate mousse into her mouth while my brain kept whispering, Stage 3, Tom. You've got months. She's eating cake. After we paid, we sat in the car for a moment. I stared at the street lights while she scrolled through her phone. I caught her smiling at something. Didn't ask what. She said, We'll get through this. You'll see. I believed her. But I shouldn't have. Because less than 48 hours later, I'd find out my wife was already making phone calls. Not to her kids. Not to my doctor. But to a lawyer. 2 days after the diagnosis, I woke up early. Didn't sleep more than a couple hours. Mind was still stuck in that doctor's office, stuck on words like prognosis, months, best case. I sat out on the back porch with a mug of black coffee, no sugar, no cream, like I'd always had it. The birds were just starting to chirp. There was a wet breeze coming up off the trees that smelled like pine and damp soil. Should have been peaceful, but my stomach was coiled. Tight. Not from cancer. From something else. From the sound of my wife's voice, talking low inside the house. I wasn't trying to listen in. But when a woman starts whispering at dawn when she thinks you're asleep, a man listens. The back screen door was cracked just enough. Her voice drifted from the kitchen. Yes, I understand about survivorship, but if it progresses quickly, I don't want to be caught unprepared. She was on the phone. Professional. Calm. Not a hint of nerves. I believe the house isn't both our names, but I think the beneficiary on the retirement account is still his daughter from his first marriage. Yes. The firefighter pension. My heart thudded. Once. Twice. She paused, then said, We haven't updated the will since the refinance. He hasn't talked about it, but it's time we get things in order. While he's still coherent. Still coherent? I stood there frozen, halfway into my coffee, fingers turning white around the handle. She wasn't panicking. She wasn't grieving. She was strategizing. 5 minutes later, she walked out on the porch like nothing had happened. Hair pulled back, bathrobe on, barefoot with her own coffee in hand. Hey, you're up early, she said, chipper. I was gonna let you sleep. Didn't feel like it, I said, flat. You feeling okay? Same as yesterday. She sipped her drink and looked out over the yard. You know, we should probably talk about things. Just in case. What kind of things? You know. Arrangements. Accounts. The will. It's not morbid, it's just smart. She smiled when she said it. Like she was being helpful. I stared into my cup, watching the steam swirl. You talked to anybody about that? She shrugged. Didn't miss a beat. Not yet. But we should. She lied. Straight to my face. Not even a twitch. She called a lawyer before she told our kids. Before she brought me soup. before she held my hand in bed. And that's when I knew. She wasn't scared for me. She was planning life after me. That night, I couldn't stop hearing her voice. Soft, patient, steady. Like she was just waiting out the clock. I wasn't dead yet, but I'd seen enough fires to know how smoke moves, quiet, creeping, curling under doorways before it takes everything. And right now, she was the smoke. It was the morning after I overheard her call to the lawyer. I didn't say a damn word about it. Just went through my routine like always, eggs in the pan, toast on low, black coffee in my hand. The same rhythm I'd held for years. But inside, my gears were turning. Diane was already at the kitchen table when I walked in, sitting there with her reading glasses on and a yellow legal pad in front of her, pin tapping against the margin. I hadn't seen her this focused since she planned her sister's baby shower back in 2009, and even that was fueled by cheap wine and a Pinterest board. She looked up, all warmth. "Morning, babe. Got a second to talk?" I said sure. Sat down across from her, made a point not to blink. She didn't ease into it. "I've been thinking. Maybe it's time we get our affairs in order." I just stared. "You know, just in case things move fast." She flipped the page, and there it was. Bullet points. Pension. Life insurance. Medical directive. Will. "It's not about being negative," she said, like she was already used to defending herself. "It's just smart. I was reading some articles last night. Most people wait too long, and that just makes it harder on everyone." I said nothing. Let her keep going. "We should talk to someone about the house title. And the IRA. Maybe even move a few things into my name now, just in case it gets harder for you to sign paperwork later. That way, I can take care of bills without jumping through hoops." There it was, wrapped in concern, delivered in a soft voice. But underneath it, positioning. I knew this game. Played it in negotiations with the firehouse union when we were fighting for equipment upgrades. Smile. Soften. Slide the knife in slow. She was planning her financial future like I was already in the ground. And here's what she didn't know. The will she was talking about, the one she assumed had her name stamped all over it, hadn't been updated since before we got married. Everything still listed my daughter, Emily, from my first marriage. But that wouldn't be enough, not now. Not with Diane circling like a lawyered-up vulture. Not with joint assets. The pension. The house. Not if she brought in the right attorney and cried in front of the right judge. If I left the paperwork the way it was, she'd find a way to tear it apart. Spousal rights. Community property. Intent. Lawyers are real good at rewriting dead men's wishes. So I needed to lock it down. Tighten every screw. Make it ironclad. Because a signature on an old will might not stop a woman like her. But a new one, backed with trusts, proof, and a big fat legal trail, that would. It was a Thursday. Diane had an appointment at her favorite salon, same place she'd been going for years. She left the house around 10 a.m. in full casual glam, sunglasses, lipstick, the nice cardigan. Told me she needed a few hours to reset. "You should rest too," she said. "You look tired." I wasn't tired. I was done playing dumb. The second her car pulled out of the driveway, I got in my truck and headed across town to see Rita Mercer, estate attorney, no nonsense, ex-military, and Emily's godmother. She looked up from her desk as I walked in. "You look like a man with a deadline," she said. "I've got cancer. Stage 3 pancreas. Maybe less than a year." Her face didn't flinch. Just nodded once and grabbed a pen. "You want to update the will?" "I want to rewrite it. Completely. From the ground up." We got to work. 2 hours later, I had a new will. One Diane had no idea existed. Every asset, my pension, the house, the savings account I'd built brick by brick across 30 years of firehouse shifts and second jobs, was locked in a revocable living trust. And everything was left to Emily. I gave Diane $1. That's all. A single buck, printed in bold text next to a line that read, "This token is not an oversight, but an intentional act of exclusion." Rita slid the papers toward me. I signed with a hand that didn't shake. Then we notarized. Filed. Sealed. "You sure she won't see this coming?" Rita asked. "She thinks I'm already halfway in the dirt." I drove home with a kind of calm I hadn't felt since the diagnosis. Pulled into the driveway just as Diane returned with fresh nails, a to-go coffee, and that light, breezy tone she always used when she was floating above everything real. "Feel better?" she asked, brushing a kiss against my cheek. Yeah, I said. Actually, I do. She went inside and put her feet up. Started scrolling her phone. Probably texting friends, maybe even him or whoever he was. I didn't care. Not yet. Because now, everything was in motion. She could make all the plans she wanted. Talk to her lawyers. Charm the funeral director. Watch YouTube videos on how to grieve with grace. None of it would matter. Because when the clock hit 0, she'd be left with nothing but the shock. And I'd be long past giving a damn. It was a Wednesday afternoon, late enough in the day for the sun to hit the back windows and pour a golden streak across the kitchen floor. I was on the couch, half reclined, pretending to nap. Diane thought I was out cold. She'd just finished her phone call in the sunroom, something about scheduling a consultation, then headed into the bathroom for her usual midday ritual. Hair, nails, whatever kept her feeling in control. The second I heard the faucet turn on and the hum of her little makeup mirror light click into place, I opened my eyes. Her phone was sitting on the end table next to her coffee mug. Unlocked. It buzzed once. Then again. I reached for it without hesitation. Because let me tell you something, when a man's told he's dying and the woman who promised forever starts whispering in the other room like she's hosting a damn estate planning seminar. You check the phone. I tapped the screen. D. Can't stop thinking about last night. Your hair smelled like vanilla. He doesn't suspect a thing. Red heart. That was all it took. No, hi. No, call me. Just a confession in code and a promise in emoji. The contact was saved under a single letter, D. I scrolled back. Thumb steady, breathing even. And what I found was confirmation. This wasn't a one-time flirt. This was a full-blown affair dressed up like comfort. You look so good in that black swimsuit you showed me. You free Friday? He has chemo, right? Can't believe you're still sleeping in that house with him. You deserve better. I felt my jaw clench, but I didn't flinch. I just kept reading. Then I found the photo. Low light. Bathroom mirror. Shirt unbuttoned. That goddamn smirk. Derek Harmon. The baby-faced real estate punk from town. Mid-30s, spray tan, fake laugh, high-end cologne. Ran an Instagram account where he posted drone shots of luxury listings and his gym progress. The same guy Diane told me was helping out when her aunt passed last year. The one she said was just business when she started spending hours at his office filling out probate forms. Probate, huh? Looks like she was closing on something else. I kept digging. Messages about me. My health. My money. His pension should transfer automatically, right? I think the life insurance kicks in at 90 days. That's standard. I just want this to be clean, Derek. No mess. I nearly dropped the phone. Not from shock. Not from heartbreak. From clarity. Because now it was real. I put the phone back exactly where I found it. Screen down. No app left open. Not a trace. She came out of the bathroom 10 minutes later, nails freshly filed, eyes lit with that hollow kind of glow that people wear when they think they've gotten away with something. You asleep? She asked, passing by. Dozed off, I muttered. She kissed me on the forehead. You should get more rest. You've got treatment tomorrow. I nodded. Watched her walk away. And that's when I knew it. She wasn't my wife anymore. She was waiting for the paperwork. But she didn't know I'd already filed mine. After I read those texts, I started keeping a private log in a notebook I stashed behind the water heater. Every lie, every slip, every "I'm just going out for errands." Every moment she looked down at her phone and smiled when she thought I wasn't watching. But I didn't confront her. That would have been too easy and far too kind. Instead, I let her believe the role she'd cast me in. The dying husband. The frail old firefighter with less than a year left. The man too tired to fight, too grateful for a warm bowl of soup to question what it really cost. So I played it. Hard. I started coughing more, deep, dragging, like it hurt to breathe. Sometimes I'd force myself into a wheezing fit just as she was walking past. Other times, I'd stagger when getting out of a chair. Drop a fork. Miss a step on purpose. The performance got so good I almost fooled myself. And she loved it. Suddenly Diane was the concerned wife again, fluffing my pillow, adjusting the thermostat just right, telling neighbors I wasn't up for visitors, but that she was holding down the fort. She even started making me smoothies. She hadn't made me breakfast in 5 years. You okay, babe? Can I get you anything? You sure you don't want to lie down? I told her I was fine. I told her I was trying to stay strong. She nodded, eyes big and watery, like a woman preparing for widowhood. Then the next day, she texted Derek. He's getting weaker. I think it's almost time. Almost time. That line stayed with me. She didn't mean time to say goodbye. She meant time to cash in. Time to move in with her boy toy, maybe slap on some widow eyeliner, and tell a dramatic story about the husband who never stopped fighting. But I wasn't going anywhere. If anything, I was getting stronger. My numbers were improving. I'd changed oncologists without telling her, one who didn't report updates to the shared family account she monitored. The new doc said it was still rough, but there was hope. We're not in miracle territory, he told me, but if you respond to round 3 like you did to round 2, you might be around a whole lot longer than anybody's betting. I smiled, because I wasn't betting anymore. I was setting the trap. Every night I got a little better. I made sure Diane saw a little less of it. I let her see exactly what she wanted to see. A man losing steam. A house sliding toward probate. A future she could repaint with a younger man and a fresh set of bank accounts. She didn't know the will had already been rewritten. Didn't know I'd already frozen the retirement fund in a trust. Didn't know I had a separate account under Emily's name. And she damn sure didn't know I was watching her act like a saint while texting about my life like it was a checklist. This wasn't grief. It was grooming. She was preparing herself for the big moment, her performance of a lifetime. But the curtain was coming down on her before she even stepped on stage. It was Sunday morning. We hadn't done a sit-down breakfast in years. Used to be my shift schedule made it tough. And after I retired, Diane just stopped trying. Said mornings made her foggy. But lately, ever since I'd started getting worse, she'd been the model wife. So she made breakfast. I sat at the table while she moved around the kitchen in one of those oversized sweatshirts she always wore when she wanted to look domestic. Eggs, toast, turkey bacon, coffee with oat milk, just how I didn't like it. You're not eating, she said, placing the plate in front of me. I will. Just a little off this morning. You've been off all week. She said it sweetly, gently, like someone measuring the temperature of a corpse that wasn't cold enough yet. Then she sat across from me, fork tapping lightly against her plate. Hey, can I ask you something delicate? I nodded, played the part. The frail, grateful husband. What's up? She looked around the room like someone might be listening. We were alone. Have you double-checked your life insurance policy? Just, with all the stuff happening. I know you're dealing with enough, but we should make sure it's updated. You know. No gaps. No gaps. I sipped my coffee and stared out the window. I think it's fine. Well, I only ask because I read that sometimes policies lapse if there's a missed payment. Or if they don't have a secondary contact. You been doing some reading lately? She laughed, light, fake, 2 notes too high. I'm just trying to be responsible. You know how messy this stuff can get. I don't want Emily getting stuck with anything if it goes sideways. There it was. Emily. The one person Diane couldn't stand. She never said it outright, but the tension was there from the beginning. Emily didn't play games. She saw through Diane like glass. The kind of girl who'd show up with her sleeves rolled up and ask real questions. Now Diane was using her name like a shield. I looked at her plate. She hadn't eaten more than 2 bites. She wasn't hungry. She was waiting for information. It's up to date, I said finally. All of it. And the house. Handled. What about? Diane. She stopped. You don't need to worry about the paperwork. I've taken care of it. She smiled. But there was tension behind it. A flicker in the eyes. Okay. That's good. I just want it to be smooth. For you. Smooth for me? Lady, you were already mapping out your next chapter while I was laying in a recliner faking a cough. She got up. Cleared the plates. And that's when I knew she thought the finish line was coming. She thought she'd almost made it. She was checking the exits, reviewing the policy, and prepping her performance. But what she didn't know, the lights were about to come on. And she wasn't the one holding the script. It happened faster than I expected. One Friday afternoon, I got a call from Rita Mercer, my attorney. You're not going to believe this, she said, and I could already hear the smirk in her voice. Try me. Your wife, Diane, just tried to file for emergency financial conservatorship. I leaned back in my chair and laughed. She finally jumped. Straight into traffic. She told the judge you were rapidly declining and not mentally competent to manage your estate. Claimed you were disoriented, confused, missed your own treatment dates. I hadn't missed a single one. I was just letting her think I had. And I sent them the new will, the trust, the updated medical proxy, the financial trail, and your treatment reports from the new oncologist. And the motion was denied in 12 minutes. I smiled for the first time in weeks. That night, Diane came home from her book club and acted like nothing had happened. No mention of her little legal attempt. She made dinner. Chicken. Overcooked it. Sat across from me and asked about my appetite again. Said I looked tired. You've been forgetting things lately, she said. I searching mine. Maybe we should look into getting some help, just for the financial stuff, so it doesn't stress you. I just nodded and let her keep going. You know, just so we're ready if things move quickly. I spoke to someone who said we might qualify for estate protection measures. Estate protection measures. That's what she was calling it now. Like putting a pillow over a man's face while whispering a lullaby. The next morning, she found the letter. I left it on the table. Open. Facing up. Inside was the formal notice from Rita's office, stating that her petition for conservatorship had been denied and that any further attempts would be considered fraudulent under the current trust protections. At the bottom was a copy of the new will. All assets assigned to Emily Keller. Diane Keller, bequeath $1. Final line in bold. This is not an omission. It is an intentional act. I was in the backyard when she read it. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just sat there at the kitchen table, stone still, for almost 30 minutes. Then she walked upstairs without a word and closed the bedroom door. Didn't talk to me for 2 days. But the silence said everything. She'd been caught. She'd been cut out. And she couldn't stop it. Because the man she thought she was burying had already started planning her funeral. It started with a scan. Month 4 of chemo. I've been going behind her back to a new oncologist, one who respected privacy and didn't sync everything to the shared online portal she loved snooping through. The first 2 rounds were hell. I played it up for Diane, of course, coughed hard, staggered in the hallway, laid in the recliner like a man ready to fade. But behind her back, I was rallying. Round 3 hit different. My blood work improved. Weight stabilized. Tumor markers dropped. Then came the PET scan. Doc looked at the results, grinned. Well, Mr. Delaney, it's not remission yet, but I wouldn't be writing your eulogy either. How much time we talking? Hard to say, but you're nowhere near done. I left that office standing taller than I had in months. I wasn't just surviving. I was coming back. At home, Diane noticed. She mentioned it casually, said I seemed brighter, less foggy. She didn't know what to make of it. Because her whole story, her whole play, was built on me dying slowly. And I was messing up her timing. So she pivoted. Started being sweet again. Too sweet. One morning she made biscuits from scratch. Set them on the table with fresh butter and said, maybe we should go somewhere once you finish treatment. Just the 2 of us. Hit reset. I raised an eyebrow. You thinking the coast? Yeah. That place you liked. What was it? Destin. She couldn't even remember. We went there for our 10th anniversary. I remembered everything. She remembered what she needed to. I didn't bite. Over the next 2 weeks, the soft touches started. The long looks. Even sex, first time in months. She touched me like a woman trying to reclaim a role she thought she'd already inherited. Then one night, I came downstairs for water and caught her crying at the table. I'm sorry, she whispered when she saw me. I didn't mean to push so hard before. I was scared. I thought I was going to lose you. And I panicked. I stood there, watching her try to glue the mask back on with crocodile tears and convenient guilt. Can we start over? She asked. I just want my husband back. I nodded. You're right about one thing, I said. He's coming back. She smiled through the tears. But she didn't hear the second part. Not yet. Because the truth? She wasn't getting him back. Not now. Not ever. It was a cool Georgia morning. Sun barely cracking the tree line, dew still on the grass. I was standing on the back porch, sipping my coffee like I hadn't just walked away from the grave she thought she'd lowered me into. Diane came out, robe tied tight, face washed, but eyes red. She'd been crying again. Lately, she did that more often, unprompted. In the kitchen. At the sink. Pretending to wipe a dish while her shoulders trembled like someone had pulled the curtain on her performance. I didn't ask why. Because I already knew. She leaned on the porch rail beside me and said, "You're different now." "Yeah," I said. "I am. But not just healthier. Different." I took another sip. She turned toward me, tried to reach for my hand. I let her hold it, just long enough to hear what she had to say. "I know I made mistakes," she said softly, "and I don't deserve forgiveness overnight. But I was scared, Tom. I thought I was going to lose you." "You did," I said. She blinked. "What?" I turned to look her dead in the eye. "You lost me, Diane. You lost me when you started counting down instead of fighting with me. You lost me when you asked about the life insurance before asking about my pain. You lost me when you thought I was too weak to read between the lines. Too tired to notice you texting that plastic-smiled boy with the half-buttoned shirts and property brochures." She stepped back like I'd slapped her, but I didn't raise my voice. Didn't even change my tone. "I died, all right," I said, "but not the way you hoped. Tom, the man you married, the man who built this house, fixed your mama's porch, and rubbed your back every night after your hysterectomy, he's gone. You're just upset." "I'm alive," I said, "but I'm not yours anymore. I'm not anybody's pity case, retirement plan, or safety net." I pulled my hand back and set my coffee down. "I've got a new lease, Diane. A clean bill, a lawyer who knows my name, and a daughter who loves me without counting the zeros in my account." She stood there frozen, couldn't even cry. And before she could spin up the next monologue, the next performance, I walked back inside. That weekend, I moved into a cabin Emily found for me near the lake. Quiet, peaceful, a little worn, but solid bones. Kind of like me. No calls from Diane. No texts. She finally understood. I wasn't the man she married. That man died the day she started counting his days. The one who came back. He doesn't need her, or her grief, or her guilt. He just needs the silence, and a damn good fishing pole.